Hello, everyone. How is everybody this wonderful Sunday? Let me with this Sunday. Another week gone by, a new week to start. Just give me a sec. Let me just open up my app. You can all hear me. Breaking. Okay, one person saying I'm breaking up. Can anybody else hear me? Okay. How about now? Is now okay? A little bit spotty. Okay, just give me one sec. Let's see if I can fix this. Okay, some people are saying. Oh, okay. How about I think my icon it's disappeared from the. I can usually see on the screen like when it's being a bit weird. A lot better now. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for confirming. Lovely. So we will get on. And good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe. We are at 11,500, which is amazing. And thank you so much to the 20,000 of you, wow, 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 who are on Instagram. Thank you so, so much. The Instagram has grown so quickly. It's wild. Seems to be a lot of you who love the gram. I guess it's because it's just easier and quicker for me to get information up on Instagram a lot faster than obviously waiting until I sit down and do the podcast. But if you want on the hour news, or pretty much as soon as things come out, and also some funny stuff as well, I've started posting funny things. You can come join us on the gram. It's fun over there. So thank you everyone for that. Church Nola has opened the bar. I see. Fantastic. I have actually had a glass of rosé today. I went and sat in a restaurant to do some work. So I treated myself to a rosé every now and again. Doesn't hurt, does it? Especially after the last 2 weeks. I mean, to be honest, I need the whole bottle, but um I need to actually work tomorrow, so just a glass. Paul Charles, Anna Scotties, I was wondering if you guys can tell me if our Megan podcast will be nominated for Anyways Community up soon. I see. Okay, not quite sure what that means. I'm sorry, but if anybody can answer that question for Paul Charles, go right ahead. Let's see what you're saying in the chat before we continue. Oh, thank you so much, Ladybird. You're very sweet. Oh, we love the flowers. Yes, this was actually in Portugal. If you're ever in Lisbon, go to the LX factory, and there was this lovely stand where they had flowers, and I actually bought that bouquet for myself. Buy yourself some flowers. Don't have to wait for somebody else to buy you flowers. Sorry, first time seeing your picture. Really? Have a lot of you not seen me? Yeah, there I am. Happy to put a face to the voice. But yes, there I am. That's what I look like. Okay, let's get started. It's not going to be a long one today, I don't think. No longer than half an hour. Let me just say thank you, everyone who spoke on Friday. Wow. you all came with the heat, with the knowledge, with the fire. I was not expecting Friday's podcast to come out the way it did. I planned a completely different podcast on kind of the different aspects of the royal family and um, the troubles that they're going to face moving forward. And I'm still going to do that podcast, but it went a completely different way and a way that I would have never expected, and it was amazing. And so I was so happy to give you all that space and time to speak. And I think I will Fridays, try to make Fridays like call-in day, I think, because it seems like that's when I had not only the most callers, but also a lot of people who'd never spoken before. I mean, it got so full that I was having to kick people out because I'm only allowed 10 people on the back end at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to actually create a format where there's kind of like rules and time frames so that everybody can have their say. And there's time for everybody to speak. And sometimes it'll be open topic, sometimes it'll be focused on one particular topic. Um, but I think it'll be fun and interesting. And thank you so much, everyone who spoke. It was truly an incredible podcast. I think one of the best we've had in a while. But on to today's news. Yes, The Crown season 5, the trailer came out. I actually posted the trailer on my channel and I turned the monetization off because I thought, oh, they're obviously going to do me for copyright, but Netflix does not want me to be great. So that video got deleted. But you can just search it on YouTube or go to my Instagram and I posted the trailer. It doesn't really show too much at the moment. Usually they have like the teaser trailer and then like two or three other trailers. But it's just I think it's a news broadcaster talking in the background and basically narrating that that Diana and Charles are going to divorce. So yeah, this is I guess the middle part of the Diana years, and then the next season, I believe, will be like basically the end of the Diana years, leading up to her death. So yeah, on we go with The Crown. They only stopped filming season 6, which they are now filming for one day out of respect for Lizzie, but they're carrying on with that. So let me know what you thought of the trailer and what you're expecting from this season of The Crown. Put your comments before we continue. Oh, Sharpie, I'm not sure if there are any awards for podcasts. Maybe something to look up. Somebody brought this up before, and I think somebody said there was an award for podcasts, and that there are certain award shows that have podcasts, or like online content. Sorry, prizes for online content creators. So I'm sure there's something we could get Archetypes nominated for sure. Mm. Cinderella, and you've got good guns. What, my arms? Do you know what? They may look very toned, thank you very much, but I do not have any amount of strength in my arms. I am actually, I'm skinny, but I am so unfit. It's embarrassing. I could probably barely run to the bus. I go on long hikes and my knees start to wobble. I have no upper body strength whatsoever. So I am gonna start running again. I used to do like 5Ks. So I need to start running again. And I'm also starting judo? Yes, judo in October. So hopefully I can get my guns to not just look good in pictures, but to actually be physically fit because I'm skinny, but I'm not fit at all, guys and dolls, not at all. I got very lazy, as I think a lot of people did during lockdowns. Mm, welcome everybody to the chat if you're just coming in. Okay, a lot of you are saying you'd like Friday chats. That's great. Um, oh, no worries, Marilyn Matthews. A lot of people really loved you, Marilyn. They said that they liked your voice. I think one person said you sound a bit like Megan. Um, Ladybird, yes, and me too. Just skinny and no guns. It's so bad. Tripadilly, me too. No gym for 2 years. It's awful. It's really, really bad. But I'm gonna start again. Just like a little bit of running, and then work my way up to like weights or something. Anyway, moving on. The UN event that was meant to happen with Megan, it went ahead anyway, and unfortunately, this is what we missed. We truly missed. Um, I mean, it looked absolutely amazing, but to have had Megan here, wow! Could you imagine? We had Amanda Gorman, who was the amazing young African American poet. She recited a poem at the Biden inauguration. Also, Priyanka Chopra, who is a friend of Meghan. They have been friends since her TIG days. And of course, the wonderful Malala Yousaf, I think she graduated from Oxford, and she unfortunately was shot by the Taliban. But she went on, she lived on, and she is now an Oxford graduate and a role model for many young girls around the world. So, I mean, just look at how amazing Amanda looks like in that cape. She was like, "I'm going to the UN. I this is my history in the making for me," and she looks glorious. And we could have had Megan in that picture. How unfortunate. How so very unfortunate. But hopefully, Megan will have her moment again. Jules C, what is your Instagram? It's Duchess of Success Official on Instagram. Duchess of Success Official. Mm. Cinderella, that white gown looks like the red one Megan wore on tour. Definitely looks like wait, the one Megan wore on tour? Or the one she wore when she when they did their goodbye um when they did their goodbye event. The red one she wore to the what was it, the concert on honoring military people? And Harry wore his military garb. That's the one it reminded me of in red. Joan Commonwealth. She also got married. Oh, Malala. Oh, amazing. Incredible. Wendy Loman. What a shame. Women empowerment. A pity Princess Megan missed out. Indeed. How amazing would that have been with Megan also? Rita, what an amazing program she missed just to be abused and trolled. I'm hoping she will have her moment next year. Yes. And you know what? Hopefully next year it will be even bigger and better. Rossi, do you think they will do this again? Yes, they do these regularly. I mean, this one wasn't even the UN Women one, so Megan will have her time. Okay, so moving on. Tyler Perry was on Shay's show, DJ Shay, and he spoke about Harry and Meghan. He spoke about their love for each other and his experience when Meghan reached out to him. And he also said something else that was so inspiring. And he said, when a dog or wolf howls at the moon, nobody pays attention. But but if a moon howls to the dog, everybody goes, "What? What's going on here?" And I think that's just how Harry and Meghan have or are, sorry, handling their critics, their bullies, their harassers, they are the moon, right? So there's no need to howl at dogs. And if you are going to howl at the dogs, be strategic and do so when you know that you will win. And that is why, so far, they have won all their court cases and they continue to win. So I know there's some people who feel that Meghan should fight back, lash out, um, and come with the fire. But I think that Meghan knows her power, and I think there are more strategic ways perhaps she can go about um, setting the record straight. And one thing I have seen over the last week or so is that in any case, the bullies, the harassers, the critics, the royal rodents, the institution are all in panic mode. So they're doing enough to destroy themselves that whenever Meghan puts out what she's going to put out or says whatever she's going to say, it doesn't necessarily have to be in an overtly aggressive manner. Mm. Marilyn Matthews, another event Meghan has inspired me to take interest in. That's amazing. All right. On to the next thing. So the next archetypes episode, hopefully we should get it this week. There's been no like proper confirmation, but I'm assuming, listen, the mourning period is over and the other royals are back to work and smiling anyway. So there's no reason why. But just a reminder, this week we will be listening to, I think it's, is it Lucy Ling and, oh, I forget who it was. Can anybody just remind me in the chat box? But a part of it's also going to be centered around stereotypes around Asian women. And there were two stereotypes or archetypes that are quite common, and that is the dragon lady, which was a term that was created in the 1930s by the West to describe Asian women who were strong, sexual, deceitful, and domineering. And the opposite of the dragon lady was the Madame Butterfly, demure, passive, alluring in her naivete about the opposite sex, and a martyr. Essentially, both of these terms are racial slurs aimed at objectifying and negatively portraying Asian women as one-dimensional stereotypes, either with either we're evil and sexual or we're martyred and passive. And these are two stereotypes that I have seen quite commonly, especially in Hollywood and media, and how Asian women are portrayed in Hollywood and media. And you see these stereotypical portrayals in pretty much every um, portrayal of women of color. So with Asian women, it's the dragon lady, it's the Madam Butterfly. With black women, it's the Jezebel, it's the angry black woman, it's the hypersexualized black woman. With Latinas are often hypersexualized. So it's great to see how thoughtful Meghan was in choosing the women that she had to come on, because I think what we've seen with this archetype series is the breaking down of stereotypes and archetypes of women as a whole, and now also focusing on the individual um individual archetypes that are applied to individual groups of women. So that's what we have to look forward to in the next archetypes podcast. Um, so I'll read your comments before we continue. Meaningful life coaching. So far, I think she's doing the right thing. She speaks when she wishes to and in whatever circle she chooses, and that's what makes it so scary for them. She doesn't need to respond directly to them. Yes, and she has the power of multiple platforms, her own platform, and other people's platforms. And so many people, or pretty much everyone, wants Meghan to speak on their platform. So she doesn't have to speak through the institution anymore. She doesn't have to do things by their books. And yes, that absolutely scares them. Ah, yes, Margaret Cho, the comedian. Thank you so much. The Lady Day. Thank you so much. And yes, absolutely, Lynn. Praying podcast is Tuesday. Need something positive to go back to. So that's that. Yes, John Boyega was on Andy Cohen, and he spoke about William and Harry's Star Wars cameo, and he said that so he said, one sec. So he records what it was like on set, and he said that I definitely think it was Harry. Harry is just more casual, isn't he? Um, on his appearance, saying, "I don't know why. Maybe the royal family were like, nah, leave them out of the Star Wars universe." He continued before joking, "There's something about royalty. It just seeps through the suit." So I'm sure that they had their reasons. He also said other high profile stars who visited the Star Wars set, William and Harry walked on with big costumes on. They got in the elevator because it was a big elevator scene. Um, Boyega recalled Tom Hardy was on set that day, so it was just kind of random. Star Wars is open for everybody. You want a cameo? Just show up. It's like a block party. So very funny there. Any Star Wars fans in the set? These photos, um, sorry, the photo of Charles climbing from 2012, for some reason, has gone viral. Um, and everyone's been having a joke about the fact that he was wearing smart shoes and a suit to climb a wall. I'd like to know who the PR person was at this point and why they decided on this. But wearing suits uh, at times where it's probably not appropriate to wear one seems to be a trend. We all remember William wearing his suit in the desert, planting a tree. Julia Rock, I hope Megan's last episode is the title Karma is King. uh, Whitlin, Megan does know her power because the riffraff are so typical. She and Harry are always outmaneuvering them. Oh, how laughable. Indeed. Sussexes are playing chess, the others are playing checkers. Actually, they're not even playing checkers, they're playing hopscotch. Mm. London lady, I want Megan to speak on my platform. I haven't even got a platform. I just want Megan to speak, period. Joseph, hello Joseph. In court, truth, facts, receipts, trumps lies and speculation. I wish the Daily Bomb Wipe followed that rule. The hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lies that they have published about Meghan, not just the Daily Fail, but the royal reporters, the all the clout chasers. I honestly believe this is just my prediction that all of this one day is going to lead to one of the biggest libel cases of all time. This is the prophecy that I'm putting out. It's going to lead to the biggest libel case of all time, and it will literally bankrupt and destroy the whole British tabloid system. And we'll see it in my lifetime. That's my prediction. Because there's been so many cases recently that are setting the precedent for that. Paul Charles, I noticed that some of these haters, like Angela Levin, Piers Morgan, and a few others, are all having books come out. Harry's book will be the bestseller. Yeah, I mean, they've released so many biographies. I don't even think a lot of these so-called royal biographies have barely sold a couple thousand copies. I think Valentine Lowe has one that just came out about the courtiers. Is it Katie Nichol has one? I don't even know what that's about. And it's just been an onslaught of them. And you can see that it is 100% coordinated. And all of that is not going to matter because once Harry drops his memoir, the whole world's going to want to read it. Harry's memoir will likely be translated into multiple languages. I don't even think any of these um, royal biographies have been translated into any other languages, even French or Spanish. I doubt it. Because who, other than a few deranged people in this country, want to read those biographies? Who cares? But with Harry, especially after the Oprah interview, everybody cares. Lady Bird, and I don't want to see William following that's happening anymore. You don't want to see William. Don't you want to see Charles? Don't you want to see your king climbing a wall? I mean, imagine Charles like back in the days of like real battle. He'd be charging up that wall, sword in hand. Anyway, on the topic of Charles, he is back to work. Here he is working very very hard. Um, Unfortunately, there is no cash in that suitcase. But he is now back to work. The palace released this photo. I hope that they got him a new pen. Not quite sure what work he was doing here, but he is back to work. Morning period over, I guess. Roman Pearl, the way the British press has come after them and no one speaking up for Harry and Meghan, I wonder if promises were made, be they favours of the monetary kind. It wouldn't surprise me. But as we know at this point, hating on Harry and Meghan in particular is a £1 million industry. Um, Sambi, Australia, Murdoch Media, and Royal Gossip Monger, Royal Racist Rodents are responsible for the lies. Yes. Oh, but Maydoc, do you mean Murdoch? Yes, Murdoch, and also Rothermere and all the other um tabloid press. Patricia, and I hope I'm praying after that lawsuit they should not have to work again. Just saying. Well, we still don't know exactly how much Megan got. So, um, it could be in the hundreds of thousands, could be in the millions. Who knows? Kim Coates, and from your mouth to God's ears, the destruction of the UK tabloid media needs to happen. They destroy so many lives for profit. Yes, and this isn't just about Harry and Meghan and the royals. Ordinary, innocent people get their lives ruined because of these people. And there's very little that you can do when you're a normal working class person. You're going to go against the Daily Fail. You're going to go against the Sun. It's almost impossible to hold them accountable. It's only when somebody literally takes their own life, and even then, there'll be a few days of mourning and we'll do better and be kind, and then it's straight back to normal. But Joyce, they lied about the mourning period for a week. They were back to work on Wednesday exactly. It was a total lie, and I 100% believe it was just an attempt to keep Harry and Meghan back. And thank goodness they were like, nope, we came to pay our respects, and then we went back home. Sean's stage photo and his desk only has decorations on it. How many times can this man fail in 1 week's time? Okay, moving on. So the palace also released a picture of the Queen's final resting place, and that is the stone over the coffin, and also all the flowers, including the one that was actually on her coffin before it was lowered into the ground. Also, regarding the Queen's funeral, um, right off the heels of Prince William demanding that Diana's BBC Panorama interview doesn't get aired again, the royals are now also trying to censor various parts of the Queen's funeral, and not just the final ceremony, by the way, the whole 10 days. So I'm going to read this Guardian article because it's just absolutely wild. They are essentially trying to censor history, trying to censor what we all saw with our own eyes. And that's just completely and utterly wild to me. Because how do you do that? How do you can cut footage from ever being broadcast again, but we saw everything with our own eyes. And are you going to censor the whole internet? Like, how far does this go? Oh, so the Guardian article says UK broadcasters battle monarchy over control of Queen's memorial footage. Palace has said TV channels can only retain an hour of footage from events during the mourning period. The BBC, ITV, and Sky News have been given until Monday, so they're not even giving them a lot of time to produce a 60-minute compilation of clips they would like to keep for ceremonial events held across the 10 days of mourning for the Queen. The royal household will then consider whether to veto any proposed inclusions. Once the process is complete, the vast majority of other footage from ceremonial events will be taken out of circulation. See, now my question is, what gives the royals the authority to do this? Because with the Diana interview, the excuse was that Martin Bashir falsely obtained that interview by presenting false documents to Diana, right? That was the basis of which they argued that they could take that interview out of circulation. What gives them the right to take footage of the events of the Queen's funeral out of circulation? What gives them that right? Who gives them that right? Because they are effectively trying to police history. The article goes on to say, any news outlets wishing to use unapproved pieces of footage would have to apply to the royal family on a case-by-case basis, even for material that has already been broadcast to tens of millions of people. It is completely illogical and doesn't make sense, said one journalist with knowledge of the negotiations. We're furious that they're trying to restrict how people can relive somber but important historic events. Well, clearly not that somber and historic, because now they're trying to censor it. So you know what this tells me? 10 days of propaganda, which is what it was, not 10 days of mourning, did not go the way they wanted it to. Because if it did go the way they wanted it to, they wouldn't be doing this. The negotiations shed further light on how the royal family has shaped news coverage of the Queen's death. The former director of ITN, Stuart Purvis, has said the policy is tantamount to self-censorship. Well, to all of you in the media, you're more than happy to bend over any other time. Now you're complaining. So are we mad about the invisible contract? Well, then break the invisible contract. The article goes on to say, Buckingham Palace did not respond to a request for comment. The Guardian has previously revealed that the palace vetoed several clips from the Queen's memorial service and banned them from being reused in news reports and social media clips. Royal staff had a WhatsApp group including senior executives from the BBC, ITV, and Sky News, which they used to control which footage could be used. A member of the royal household would send a message every 5 minutes, either approving or refusing the use of the previous block of video. There was reluctant acceptance of this approach among British broadcasters, particularly when the palace suggested footage was intruding on the personal grief of royals. Well, then, why do this whole circus to mourn and grieve publicly? That doesn't make sense. But now the battle I am tired of these people. But now the battle has shifted towards who controls the historical narrative of the Queen's death. Exactly. Because they can erase it from circulation. They can't erase it from our minds. At least not at the moment, anyway. This is getting really Black Mirror. One journalist said, "We all get that moment of individual distress might not want to be revisited." Well, then it goes back to my point, like why then have this whole circus where you had the family out there in multiple processions, grieving publicly, standing next to her coffin, doing a vigil? That's a different decision to having a wide shot removed. According to sources at the broadcasters, the palace has said they can retain the rights to show up to 12 minutes of footage from the hour-long Westminster Abbey funeral service, 12 minutes from the from the Windsor Castle committal service, and only a few minutes from each of the various vigils that took place at the Queen's coffin lay in Westminster Hall in London, at St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. So they probably want to censor a lot of the boos that were heard during the week. They probably want to censor shots of Meghan and Harry. Anywhere where it just maybe didn't make them look great. That's what they want to censor. Then goes on to say one particular bone of contention is the palace's assertion that it has a veto over the use of footage of King Charles III's accession council. This was the lengthy event where the new monarch was formally proclaimed in a television ceremony, including leading politicians overseen by Penny Mordaunt. Broadcasters have been told they were allowed to retain a maximum of 12 minutes of footage from this um, constitutionally constitutionally important occasion. So it shouldn't even be a debate then about that. I mean, this whole thing shouldn't be a debate, but that particular event of Charles's Ascension Council, there should be no censorship about that because that is historically important. I mean, everything is historically important, but especially that. Longer longer clips would need to be cleared with the royal household. The concern is that the royal veto will be used to scrub mildly embarrassing moments from the historical record. At one point, the king was seen to be irritated by the presence of a pen on the table at the Ascension Council. I mean, that video of Charles being irritated, that has been viewed millions of times, millions of times, over and over again on social media. So, are they going to attempt to scrub that from social media? This is one of the first things I said when Charles was crowned. He is the first social media monarch. Everything he does is going to be picked apart and shared on social. This is not the days of the tabloids having the most power or TV having the most power. So this is just completely pointless and just brings more attention to what they probably want to hide. The palace is also believed to have raised concerns about a shot from Westminster Hall that featured Mike Tyndall, the husband of the Queen's granddaughter Zara Phillips, checking his watch while observing the Queen lying in state. Like they're going through all of this trouble to to censor Mike Tyndall checking his watch. So they can do that for Mike Tyndall, but they can't protect the biracial princess. Nonsense. Anyway, the article ends by saying Purvis told LBC he had concerns that the royal family had asserted the ability to retrospectively take footage out of circulation once it's been transmitted. Once we recorded in our own homes and our own video recorders, and suddenly we're being told that certain sequences didn't happen. We can't show them again, and it's just unrealistic. There's no other way of interpreting that than effectively not censorship, but basically self censorship. It was wonderful coverage, and I think the palace will reflect that they have made a mistake. Do you know what? It's reading this that I am so glad now, actually, that I went down to the palace and I took photos and I took video. And this has now shown how important it is actually for us to keep our own records, videos, photos, diaries of what we saw and what we experienced, and to pass that down. Because this, I don't think that this is going to stop just at trying to get television stations to censor. This isn't going to stop just here. I don't believe that. I believe they want to take this a lot further, but this is just where it starts. And let's be honest, what they wanted for the Queen's funeral, I've got a picture of Diana and her fans. This is what they actually wanted for the funeral. They wanted a sea of Union Jacks, of crying, sobbing faces, and I guess also some happy and proud faces. But these scenes right here, this wonderful granny with his sign, a true inspiration, Diana Unforgettable. You can only get this when you authentically connect with people. This is what they wanted, but this is what they got here. What they wanted, what they got. Okay, let me go to your comments before we continue. Mad World, so far it seems like Harry and Meghan are the ones doing the mourning. Yes. It doesn't feel like the other members of the Unroyals have mourned Lizzie at all. It's just like back to business. Ladybird, that papers in that red case look staged. Yeah, they literally look like somebody set them up like a prop. Benjamin, I hope that Harry doesn't tone down his biography as some are suggesting he will. Yeah, so there's been some articles popping up since the Queen's funeral that Harry is now changing his biography at the 11th hour as to not offend the Queen, blah, blah, blah. As I've always said, if it doesn't come from the Sussex people, I don't believe it. I think that it's just the tabloids making assumptions. I don't think that Harry would have written anything um, that he feels would come across as offensive or insensitive to the Queen anyway, regardless of whether or not she died. Because as Harry has always said, and he has never said anything differently, as far as he is concerned, the Queen was his commander in chief and he loved his grandmother. So I can imagine that there may be some rewrites to add details of the last 2 weeks, because the last 2 weeks, quite frankly, could be a whole book in itself. But I don't think that there will be any major changes as not to cause offense or whatever it is the tabloids are saying. Patricia, if Meghan and Harry were out and about this week, they would have had a stroke, saying that they were disrespectful to the Queen. Exactly. Meghan and Harry are probably the only two still out here mourning. London lady journalist Sonia Poulton stated that Piers Morgan's harassment of Meghan is nothing shorter than stalking. But wasn't Alex Belfield jailed recently for methinks Piers could follow suit? Yes. That is exactly what Alex Belfield was jailed for. And I think that Piers Moron, Dan Wooten, Angela Latrine, all of them, they're all going to go down the same way because it's relentless what they're doing. Cinderella, are they planning to cut Harry and Meghan out? Wouldn't surprise me. Lady Bird, Harry and Meghan does not have to give all their money to charity. They still give a lot. Yeah, they do. They give a lot, hundreds of thousands. And also with the whole situation of the royals trying to get the broadcasters to cut footage, right now they're only, it seems, going after the British broadcasters. Are they going to try that with international broadcasters? Are they? And you'll see they can't stop other countries who have footage. Or maybe they don't actually care. Maybe for them, they just want to rewrite history for people in this country. Yes, Alma, they can't cause the world to unsee. We know they've censored Diana's interview. The world they live in is antiquated. They're out of touch, indeed. Yes, Kim, they don't understand that the world has receipts. Super delete. Yes, this is why we need to get rid of them. Abolish. Abolish. Abolish immediately. Yellow is welcome to North Korea. Oh gosh. Yes, Kim Coates. The web keeps receipts forever, especially the squad. Mm. Vinny Blair, thank God they can't confiscate the footage from American media. Why the hell is all the British media rolling over for this family? Why are they wanting to rewrite history? Good question. The thing is, if they had just kept quiet, I mean, after the last few weeks, is anybody ever really gonna be that interested in the funeral ever again? I don't know what it is that they're panicking about exactly. So there must be very specific things that they feel they want taken out, and I suspect it is really just the booing and Charles's tantrum throwing. But it's like they're gonna go through all this trouble to censor a few things from the last 2 weeks, and then literally going forward, it's going to be a day in day out of embarrassing moments. Because if you can't even get it right the first week, how are you going to get it right for another 20 years or however long Charles lives? So every time that Charles does something embarrassing, they're going to try and censor it. Make it make sense. I'm going to have to get another external hard drive just to keep everything. Copies, everybody keep copies of everything. Put them in capsules, bury them in your garden, yeah, and then like in 500 years they'll like find them. If they erase everything, there'll be like a couple hundred capsules with all the footage in them somewhere. That's how we're gonna do it. Mm. Kim Coates, Charles knows those photos of Harry out of uniforms hurts them. Well as the snarky look towards Meghan. Yes. Well, they did this to themselves. They absolutely 100% did this to themselves. Oh yes, Janine, Andrew with his daughter. That's true also. Yeah. I definitely want to get rid of that. Gail Lewis, all those iconic shots of Meghan's grief, yes. DT, they could have kept the Queen's funeral private instead of wasting money with the public. Yeah, sorry, instead of wasting money with public, highly televised funeral. Well, they wanted to hype this up, and it just has not gone their way. Yes, Cinderella, keep your receipts. Everybody get an external hard drive. Keep the receipt. Uh, all right. Just want to get through your comments before we go to the next part of the podcast. Oh, this is going on a lot longer than what I wanted it to. Adrian, evidently Diana wasn't lying because it's bothering them, or Charles is giving William a grand prize to try to get the interview to go away. It had nothing to do with him. It was his parents. Yes. Cinderella, I recorded the funeral because I didn't want to wake up early, but I will keep that footage for as long as I want it. Well, Cinderella, I encourage you to not only keep it but post it everywhere. Post it everywhere. But I feel like we have the most important parts. We don't need the whole damn funeral. We've got all the important parts. We've got the footage of the booze. And for sure now, going for I mean, I never used to be a person who, even when I started this podcast, paid attention to the other royals at all. But now, not only am I gonna be watching closely every event, every smiling and waving and ribbon cutting um walkabout, I may even start to show up and start recording myself, like the way I went to Buckingham Palace. I missed Charles by only 30 minutes that day, mind you. Even when I went to look at the flowers, I think I must have missed. Was it Beatrice or the other sister? They were there around the same time in the afternoon. I must have even just missed them or just not noticed that they were around the crowds. So, like, it is important for us to keep our own records. And if we can, yeah, be there and film it because they can censor the big dogs. They can't censor us. Truth be told, they look like actors. Yeah, I stand by my conspiracy theory that these were paid actors. Uh, and Patricia, there was one of Edward crying and one of George picking his nose. Well, George is a kid, so don't really mind him picking his nose. And Edward crying, well, isn't he meant to be crying? Or did they not want the senior royals crying? All right, on to the next thing. Some slightly tragic news, but I just wanted to mention it. Anybody seen this gentleman or has information about this gentleman? He came down for the Queen's funeral and has been missing. He has not been seen since. So, if anybody has any information on this gentleman right here, he's obviously elderly, so there's quite a lot of concern about his well-being, but he has not been seen since. So yeah, if anybody has any information, you've seen this man, please do contact the authorities for those of you in the London area. Um, just a couple last things that I wanted to mention. Um, things that are happening in the United Kingdom news. Yeah, cost of living. I saw this post about estate agents and rental market here in London. Now, as you all know, I recently moved from my last place because of this problem exactly. So our rental, the actual agreement came to an end because we'd been there for almost coming to like 10 years. So it was the actual whole agreement that came to an end. So the landlord pretty much had the right to kick us out, and he wanted to put the price up. And this is an example of what a lot of landlords are doing. So this gentleman moved out of his flat, which was 1,700 a month, which in itself is just ridiculously expensive, I think. You can get a flat like that a lot cheaper in many other countries, or even other cities or areas in the UK. And then the landlord put the price up to over 3,375 a month. And now let me just look for average London salary. The Okay, so the average London salary is about 53,000 at the moment. And so divided by 12, that's about 4,416. And that's before taxes. So even the average person would not be able to afford this place, plus other living expenses. It's getting wild. And I bring this up because you will know that I went to Lisbon in July, and I will be officially leaving the UK in I should be leaving in January. Should be, because I just feel that I need to start, building a life elsewhere. Until at least I just go back to Zambia, which is gonna happen eventually. But I feel that I can no longer survive, live, be happy here because it's spinning out of control and this government is out of control. And I think this is something that we've talked about before. How is the royal family going to manage to weather the storm of this cost of living crisis? Because people are going to be looking at them and asking, well, why do you get to live off of our taxpayer money um, when we are suffering? And so I think following the initial boost that the royals have enjoyed due to Lizzie's passing, I think they've got a lot of work to do. Um, so it's going to be interesting to see how this affects them. I also just saw this thread from someone on Twitter that I wanted to end with because I thought it was quite well written. This was Jennifer on Twitter who said, um, oh, "Give the peasants another thought. Courtiers decide. Royal family happy to go along with whatever, as this way they get maximum time to talk. So Harry, frustrated for years of being controlled and held back, chooses a life partner with similar fire in her belly to actually help people. Chaos ensues. Courtiers don't understand why they want to work so much. Sussex is wildly frustrated at these overly powerful suits blocking them at every single turn. They can't be allowed to work this hard. Actually, change the status quo because it exposes what a racket the royal family and that they exist only to benefit themselves and their establishment cronies. The peasants must never know what's behind the velvet curtain. The courtiers guard the curtain, and the media, who are owned by the establishment, hold tight to the fringes. There is no such thing as modernizing the monarchy. They don't want to change. They can't change. The establishment is built on antiquated foundations of a useless royal family, distracting the peasants with baubles and pageantry. The powerful must stay powerful, whilst the poor wave flags. It's become clear that courtiers hold far too much power in the palaces. They make the decisions because, crucially, the royal family members don't care about the work. They get wheeled out to shake hands, do the bare minimum, and then return to literal palatial splendor. And with that, I'm calling it a day because I think that pretty much sums it all beautifully. I will end with your comments as always, my dears, and thank you as always for coming and being so supportive. Um, it's crazy how fast time is going. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where we are this time next year, because this time next year we would have had Invictus, and we would have had Harry's book come out, and I believe the court case with with Piss Moron and Murdoch, Harry's court case, that should be coming soon too. So there's so much that is coming. Um, that it's gonna be a wild ride, y'all. It's gonna be a wild ride. But I'm gonna be here, and I hope you'll be here too. And we can be here for each other. Alrighty. Wait, let me just add this. Try and Paul Charles, Sophia Wessex, Edward wife, and Kate wants what Meghan has. That's why they are the haters. Well, it must really hurt as a woman to look at Meghan and see how much her husband loves her, has sacrificed for her, and you're stuck with lying, cheating husbands that have never publicly stood up for you the way Harry has stood up for his wife and sacrificed for his wife. Yeah, as a woman, that would absolutely eat at you. Let's just be honest. Kim Coates, how's this for a production? A 30-minute video, the most damnable things that happened at the funeral. I hope somebody does that. Yes, Veronica, the royal family picks and chooses who they want to protect. Quite awful. Jackie Thomas, that's why they hate that Meghan is doing her own podcast. Yes. If you don't tell your story, your enemy will tell it for you. If you don't speak on your pain, your enemy will speak on your pain for you and say that you enjoyed it. Cheryl, what they got, yeah. What they wanted, how it looked like on Wish.com, what it looked like when it arrived. uh, sometimes you just gotta laugh. You gotta find the humor in all of this craziness because it's just wild. It's absolutely wild. Like, oh, it's all gonna come to an end one day, guys and dolls. Meaningful. What difference it makes now? The Queen is dead, and I do not think he had any intention of bashing her. No, neither do I. But they've kept on spinning this narrative of the Sussexes bashing the Queen when they know full well it's them telling their truth about the other members of the family, not bashing them, telling their truth. You're allowed to tell your truth, doesn't mean you're bashing anyone. And also, I believe if Harry is going to go after anyone, it's going to be the press and the courtiers. He has said himself, no matter how we feel about it, while I'm sure he feels betrayed, he has said himself that he still feels compassion for the rest of his family. So I never thought that he was gonna bash the Queen in any way. Um, and you're right, meaningful life. I don't think he had any intention. I think it's the courtiers and the press. Baron, the royal family has also forgotten about the internet. I don't think they've forgotten about the internet. I just think that they um um what they're attempting to do with the mainstream media, this could just be them testing how far they could take the censorship. But it's just there's what is the point? You know, tens of millions of people already saw the funeral, and I don't think any of those tens of millions of people were focused on Mike Tyndall looking at his watch. Most of those people probably don't even know who Mike Tyndall was. See, now they've brought attention to something that nobody was paying attention to. I didn't even know that Mike Tyndall was looking at his watch. I didn't see a single headline about Mike Tyndall looking at his watch. I didn't see a single tweet about Mike Tyndall looking at his watch. Now I'm sitting here talking about Mike Tyndall looking at his watch. Yeah, lady, just a mess. An absolute mess now. Mm. Christine, I'm just looking forward to Tuesday. Yep, so am I. So am I. So am I. Yeah, Joan Hickey. Charles coming across as a tyrant, very controlling. Ladybird. Those ladies on the screen look miserable. How can we be sure they're not in a hostage situation? They're being held hostage by the £15.90 an hour they were being paid to be there. I don't care who calls me a conspiracy theorist. They were paid actors. There was no way you just randomly had a black lady with a Union Jack, a whole auntie standing there with Welsh auntie with her Welsh flag, and then the Asian lady with the Tesco's bag. Like, there's no way. There's no way this wasn't staged. I'm sorry. Oh, oh my god. Oh, these people. Paul Charles, I think the British press is afraid of the American press bigger and have more power around the world. I think so. Because up until now, everybody just took the British press's word for it. And now they're realizing, like, wow, these people are toxic as hell. Alrighty, who's gonna get the last word of the day? Who's gonna get the last word of the day? Thank you as always, everyone. Paul Charles, have you seen Harry and Meghan's Montecito house? Yes, there's actually a video tour of their house on YouTube. Because before they moved in, a lot of estate agents do video tours now. Ruth, A Life of 96 Years Memoriam, sends down to 1 hour of broadcast. Yes. I mean, they forced us day in, day out for 11 days to watch it. And now they want to censor it all. The insanity. Absolute insanity. Denise Jones, rent is high over here in America too. Yeah, the prices are getting crazy. I was looking at even house prices. It's absolutely crazy. And I'm 100% sure now that I will likely buy a house in Spain when I'm ready to buy a house and I can afford it, because what I would get, maybe in the Costa del Sol, I'm literally getting 10 times for my money what I'm gonna get if I buy in London. It is insane, the cost of houses here now and what you get. Must be talked, but and that is because these private landlords can do this. Yeah. Oi, Cheryl, I hear Zambia is beautiful. I hope to visit one day. It is beautiful. It is. Trifidili, I wish I could leave this country. Oh, there's a lot of options for you, Trifidili. I'm my next book on nomadism, and so I've got another book on travel, which is centered around nomadism, coming out soon, and then a third book in that same series, in my travel series, on flag theory, what's called flag theory. Look into flag theory; it's quite interesting. But there are a lot more options for you to move than you probably think there are. Trust me on that. So, what do you do, Trifidili? Are you like, you probably have more options than you think based on your work. If you can get a remote job in your field, or maybe if you're willing to retrain in something that you could do as a remote job. Um, Trust me when I say there's a lot more options than what you think. You do not have to be trapped in one place. For those of you that are just joining, we're just wrapping up with comments and then we're calling it a day. So you should probably start the podcast from the beginning. The Lady Day, I think Harry must be under a lot of pressure to come back and help because the whole country is looking a mess right now. He is not responsible for coming and cleaning up the United Kingdom, especially the politics. I mean, royals are meant to be in politics anyway, right? So he's not responsible for either his family or helping the United Kingdom at all. United Kingdom, or a proportion of very loud, ranting racists decided that they did not want to accept his wife. So Harry has left. His wife has left. They're happy, and America is his home now. He's not obligated to help anyone here at all anymore. Thank you so much, Benjamin. Yes, it's the first step to what I hope is going to be a permanent move. Because I need to create a different a life outside of the UK now. I just think that it's going to get worse and worse and worse here. It's something that I knew. A lot of the things that are going on, the inflation, the cost of living, the kleptocratic government. I knew that a lot of this was coming, but I just haven't moved fast enough. But now I think it's now or never for me, and I think anybody else that wants to leave, now or never. Black Queen, do you think the people of the UK have it in them to rise up and get their masters' feet off their peasant necks? Um, I think that if we can revive the working class movement, yes, I think there is a chance because this country does have an incredible history of working class movements, but that takes collective action. And we know how much influence that the media and the press has, and how they will destroy anyone who tries to give the 99% their confidence and their power. So if people as a collective want to get involved and want to push back, I think it is possible. Um, but I don't know what it's going to take to get people there. Unfortunately, it may take um, a high proportion of the population to lose everything before they lose it. I think it unfortunately might have to get to that place. And my son's campus apartment with separate bedroom, kitchen, bathroom, study, living, and it's also a new build. And much daylight cost 715 euros. Oh, where does he live? Euros, so I'm assuming on mainland Europe. But that is, yeah, 715. I think that's pretty good for a whole apartment. It's absolutely wild what they're charging here in London, anyway. I guess they're praying for the enduring faith of Sussexes. Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Legs. You will see how Charlotte is looking at Ford. I mean, those poor kids, and for Charlotte especially being the young girl and seeing all those women, seeing those three, and then seeing Megan. She's absorbing all of that. She's absorbing it all. So, like I've always said, I hope the best for the Cambridge children, and I hope that they can break away from this madness. I truly hope that they can because They did not ask to be born into this family, and they should not be forced to play along with this family's corruption. Oh, thank you so much, Kathy Rose, for the super sticker. Have a wonderful week, darling. Paul, and wait and see Squiddies, the rest of the Squaddies, the rest of the Royals will start to have their own podcast. Exactly. Didn't William have a walking soundtrack and then we never heard about it again? uh, my. I'm just glad they're home. All right, who's gonna have the last word of the day? Who is gonna have the last word of the day? Oh, thank you so much, Benjamin. Thank you for coming. Connie Barmer, come to Switzerland. It's expensive, but you'll have peace. Perhaps no Tina Turner. Yeah, Tina Turner lives there, right? She lives there with her husband. Ah, Switzerland. Yeah, Switzerland's expensive. How are the men in Switzerland, Connie Barmer? Tell me how the men are like, and then I'll think about it. Are the men fine? Are they tall? Are they handsome? Oh, Vinny, Anne, how is your Spanish and Portuguese? Terrible. I can only say a few words, but I am 100% willing to learn the language of whichever country that I settle in. So if I eventually decide that I'm going to settle in Portugal, then I will learn Portuguese. That's no question at all. Or if I settle in Spain, I'm more likely to settle in Spain, to be honest. I do like Portugal, but I think I like Spain a lot more. And yes, 100% willing to learn the language. No question about that. But I would definitely want to visit Switzerland for sure. My brother said that he went there and he paid like £15 for a McDonald's. Right, who's getting the last word of the day? Miss P talks in Birmingham. A 3-bedroom house is going for £800 a month. Well, that's pretty good. Pretty good, Miss P talks. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, perhaps. I think for those struggling, it's a good idea to look outside of London, and especially now with remote work, you could probably get a very good wage and live somewhere cheaper. Oh, light side of the moon. Thank you so much. Thank you for the super sticker, darling. Mm. Miss P talks. Sweden is quite cheap. Really? I thought Sweden was quite expensive. I thought Sweden was quite expensive and the taxes were quite high. I also know that the quality of life is very good, which is probably why the taxes are a bit higher. But I was under the impression that Sweden was quite expensive. All right, Maggie, I will give you the last word of the day. Goodbye, everyone. No bad energy indeed. I will see you all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, everyone. Ciao.
People should expect the real me in this, and probably the me that they've never gotten to know. Certainly not in the past few years, where everything is through the lens of the media, as opposed to, hey, it's me. I'm just excited to be myself and talk and be unfiltered, and yeah, it's fun.